Yellowstone fans, it's finally time to look ahead, because the next chapter in this incredible universe is shaping up to be one of the most powerful yet. If you've been constantly wondering what happens after 1923, especially when it comes to Spencer Dutton's journey, then get ready because 1944 is coming, and it could completely redefine the legacy of the Dutton family. This isn't just another continuation. It's a deep, emotional, and possibly darker evolution of everything we've seen so far, and there are already so many exciting possibilities to explore. To really understand where the story is heading, we have to go back to the ending of 1923, because that finale quietly laid the foundation for everything that's about to unfold. Spencer and Alex's journey was filled with struggle, danger, and sacrifice, and just when they finally made it to Montana, tragedy struck in the most heartbreaking way. Alex's death right after giving birth to John Dutton II changed everything. That moment didn't just leave Spencer alone, it transformed him. We saw a man who had fought across continents suddenly lose the one thing that gave his life warmth and meaning. At the same time, Kara stepped in to care for the newborn John, while Spencer took on the full responsibility of running the Dutton ranch. Meanwhile, in a separate but equally important storyline, Elizabeth left Montana after Jack's death, heading back to Boston while carrying his child, creating a distance that could later turn into one of the most explosive conflicts in the future timeline. By the time we reach 1944, Spencer is no longer the same man. He's older, more hardened, and likely carrying years of unspoken pain. Instead of the adventurous spirit we once knew, we may see a quieter, colder version of him. Someone who has buried his emotions deep inside and now lives only to protect the ranch and his family's legacy. His connection to the land will likely be stronger than ever, but emotionally he may feel more distant, almost like a man who has accepted loss as a permanent part of his life. This evolution could make Spencer one of the most complex and compelling characters in the entire Yellowstone universe. At the same time, John Dutton II steps into the spotlight, and his story could take the series in a completely new direction. At around 21 years old, he stands at a major crossroads. On one side, he could stay in Montana, learning from Spencer and slowly becoming the next leader of the ranch. On the other side, the world is at war, and 1944 marks one of the most intense periods of World War II. This opens the door for a dual storyline, where we see John experiencing the brutality of war, while Spencer fights to keep the ranch intact back home. That contrast between global conflict and personal legacy could add a whole new layer of depth, showing how the Dutton name is shaped not just by land, but by sacrifice and survival on a much larger scale. But the emotional core of the story may come from within the family itself. The child Elizabeth carried to Boston could return years later, bringing with them a rightful claim to the Dutton legacy. This creates the potential for a powerful inheritance conflict, one that isn't driven by outsiders, but by blood. Imagine a character who grew up away from Montana, hearing stories about the ranch and their father, only to return and demand their place in it. That kind of storyline could bring tension, resentment, and emotional confrontations that feel deeply personal and unavoidable. And if the series follows the tradition of opening with a shocking event, it's very possible that Elizabeth's fate could be the trigger that brings this storyline crashing into the main narrative. Beyond the family drama, we can also expect new external threats, because no Yellowstone story is complete without powerful enemies. With the setting of 1944, the world itself is changing, and that change could bring new kinds of villains, wealthy land developers, political figures, or even wartime opportunists looking to take advantage of chaos. These antagonists wouldn't just challenge the Duttons physically, but also ideologically, forcing them to fight for their land in a time when power structures are shifting rapidly. When it comes to casting, there's a lot of excitement and speculation. Brandon Sklenar returning as an older Spencer feels like the perfect choice, as he has already brought so much depth and charisma to the role. For John Dutton II, someone like Austin Butler could bring the right balance of intensity and vulnerability, making him a strong successor in the Dutton lineage. Michelle Randolph's return as Elizabeth also feels likely, especially considering how important her storyline is to the future conflict. And with a project of this scale, it wouldn't be surprising to see big-name actors step in as villains, adding even more weight and presence to the series. As for the release, while nothing has been officially confirmed yet, the timeline suggests that we could see 1944 arrive sometime between late 2026 and 2027, Given the scale and ambition of the story, it makes sense that it would take time to develop properly, especially if it includes both ranch life and war sequences. But one thing is certain, the wait will be worth it, because this series has the potential to be one of the most emotional and impactful chapters in the Yellowstone saga. In the end, 1944 isn't just about continuing the story, it's about transforming it. It's about showing how the Dutton legacy survives through war, loss, and internal conflict, and how each generation carries the weight of the one before it. This is where the story becomes bigger, deeper, and more intense than ever before. So now the question is, are you ready to see the next evolution of the Yellowstone universe? And what kind of future do you think awaits the Dutton family?